Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. DuWayne Bosse and Tregg Cronin joining us. All right, Tregg, the big news this week, China coming to the market to buy corn. Do we know why China is now coming to the market, especially for corn, and how much have they purchased so far?
Well, that's to the last question. That's a great question because every day we've had a big sales announcement, and a lot of experts still think there's more to come. But not really a big surprise in terms of why they're buying. They took advantage of a big price drop. We dropped 50 cents a bushel on corn in the 5 days ended the last 5 days of February, and they stepped in, started buying. Then they've continued to buy as corn's kind of snuck lower. And again, when you look at China's balance sheet, it was pretty apparent that they were going to have to buy corn from someone. It's just that most people thought it was going to be Brazil, and China's a very opportunistic buyer, so they're stepping in, buying some U.S. corn, and I think that that's helped stem the tide the last several days. So we'll take it, and hopefully there's more to come.
Well, and further proof, I mean, it's not like our relationship with China has improved or changed. So just further proof that they will buy on price and they will buy when they need it, no matter what geopolitical issues are going on. But when we look at corn exports, DuWayne, that has been a concern. I mean, we've been talking about that. So these purchases, is it right on time? Is it too late? What are your thoughts?
It might be just a little bit too late for the markets when you think about it. The bears are always going to push on these USDA flash sales days to China. The bears are still going to suggest, we're too far behind and it's hard to catch up. And they're not wrong saying that. It would take a lot of these sales to get caught up to actually have USDA stop lowering our export demand and actually start to increase it. So yeah, it's maybe a little too late, but at least it should stop USDA from decreasing our export demand moving forward is my hope.
Well, another big story this week, SVB. And when you look at last weekend, a lot of uncertainty whether some of these companies, including some of these agricultural startup companies, whether they would even be able to make payroll. But then we saw the Fed announcement. And so those concerns eased. But still, we are seeing fallout. Specifically, Tregg, what is going on with this oil market? And then how is that having a ripple effect here on ag commodities?
One thing the markets do not like is uncertainty and volatility. And so whether or not what's going on in the banking sector has anything directly attributable to ags, when you get in these type of environments, it's kind of sell anything that's not nailed down. And I think that that's why we've seen the relative performance of our markets going into this kind of event. We had funds long corn and soybeans. We saw those commodities really come under pressure, but we saw wheat, kind of rally on a relative basis. Well, funds were short a pile of wheat. So it definitely had that feel of funds exiting positions. Now the question becomes, can we kind of stand on our own moving forward here on our own fundamentals, get back to watching cash markets, get back to watching spreads, keep some risk premium in for spring planting, the growing season? Or are we going to continue to get swept up in this kind of, asset-wide volatility? And as everybody's looking back to 2008 as the last, kind of roadmap for something like this, our markets did not fare well, and it had nothing to do with grains specifically. So that's the fear. Hopefully, the Fed has stepped in at the right time and kind of stemmed the outflows, but that's going to be a concern, I think, as we continue to see these headlines come across.
Well, and DuWayne, cattle being tied so closely to the economy, anytime there's nervousness or even talk of a recession like we're talking about now, typically there's a close tie there. Did we have some of that fallout then impact cattle prices this week?
Oh, I think they did for sure. I think Tregg is nailing it. I think this past week, our market action was more about liquidating positions because they had margin calls on something else. Money flow situation that hit the cattle market about the middle part of this week. But towards the end of the week, we kind of started to rally back on the fundamental news that supplies were just super tight, and cash market, I think, inching higher as we go into the weekend here.
All right. Well, a lot of talk about acreage. Both of you are up in that South Dakota area where you are getting a lot of moisture, including this past week. So we need to talk about, what is the reality of prevent plant? Look at these acreage mixes, as we saw some acreage forecasts come out this week. And ultimately, how is that impacting the market as we head into USDA's prospective planting reports? So we need to take a quick break, but we will cover all of that later coming up on U.S. Farm Report.